Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 7th of March. My name is Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Peer.
And Gary, how nice is it to be sitting outside filming GPTV this morning?
It is magnificent, Philip, especially and particularly as we're in this magnificent, tranquil garden setting.
Of a home that we'll talk more about in a moment. But as we sit here in the first GPTV of autumn, Gary, one would still think that we're in the middle of summer.
You could be mistaken for feeling that way because it's the most summery feeling time of the season, really, isn't it?
Last 10 days has been unbelievable.
And another week to come by the sounds of it.
I have to tell you though, Gary, as much as the viewers love summer, as do we, but when you're auctioning 29 properties on the weekend in summer weather, that was pretty hard going, I don't mind telling you.
You had 7 on Sunday. That was a very big day.
A massive day.
And I was ready to rest after those 5, Philip. I was appropriately exhausted, but, I could have done a 6th and 7th, but 7 is a lot. 7 is a lot,
What an amazing weekend, Gary.
Get the towers up, can we?
29 auctions. We sold 23 out of 29, which gives us a 79 point something average, but we'll call it 80%.
Lift it up.
And the industry average was 77%. So whilst we beat the industry average, Gary, only by a little bit, Joe's just goes to show how strong the market is.
Indeed, and there's a number of properties that we'll talk about that are still for sale because that we have got a little more time to review because we don't have any auctions coming up this weekend, of course, because, Philip, it is the weekend of the long weekend.
The Labor Day weekend, Gary.
We don't have any auctions
where we
on that
celebrate I think we celebrate the 8-hour week, don't we on Labor Day?
Now, also in this edition, we're going
to... The 8-hour day, I beg your pardon.
We're also going to talk...
The 40-hour week.
We're going to talk also in this edition a little about the new stamp duty laws, Philip, that are coming in, causing a bit of a ripple and stir.
Lots of changes.
New price laws coming in.
Premier Andrews has brought in some massive changes, Gary. And the jury will be out as to whether that's going to be ultimately a good or a bad thing. But let's move back to the weekend's activities, Gary. What are we going to talk about?
Well, I think we should start off, Phil. Let's talk about what happened on Saturday morning because Graceburn Avenue, Carnegie was a particularly strong auction. Now, Leo Samuel was the auctioneer, and of course, no one knows Carnegie like Leo because he wears it as a badge of honour, his Carnegie office badge.
And what a crew he's got down there.
Great crew, Phil. We thought we'd get between 1.3 and 1.43, the reserves at the top of that range. Yet it sold for $1,647,000, quite a surprise.
Gary, that's a bit of a theme across the weekend. Again, having properties sell 10 to 15% over at the top end of our reserves. And viewers, keep in mind when we talk about a range, and let's say we're quoting a property at 1.4 to 1.54, if we're selling a property over the top end of our range, it's already strong result when it hits the top end of the range.
As it was at 17 Royal Avenue, Glen Huntly, Philip, that was my first auction on Saturday.
What a great warm-up for you for the weekend.
Great warm-up indeed. We thought we'd get somewhere around that 1.4, 1.5, Philip. We were quoting it in that kind of region, but we sold it for $1,711,000, a very hot and competitive auction.
Tell me, Gary,
6 bidders,
that was a property that had some development upside given the zoning there. What was the end result, home buyer or developer?
Somebody was a home buyer who's bought it for their son who's going to live there. And they live not far away. I think they live somewhere around maybe Glen Waverley or thereabouts. So that was pretty interesting, but a strong auction, Phil. Lots of bidders, lots of competition.
I love the way we're saying now that the market is rippling out and the suburbs, as we go out, the suburbs on the outer are getting stronger. You're now saying Glen Waverley's not far away.
Well, it isn't far away, really, but there's suburb hoppers, Philip, out there. You know, we sold to South Caulfield, someone that was looking Glen Iris, so people will hop across suburbs, and we find them. And of course, with our multi-office network and the fact that we don't work as a traditional franchise model in having little ownership, Philip, problems and challenges, everybody can sell everything.
And viewers, just a little note on that, so we can have a property listed in South Caulfield, but it may well be one of our team in our St Kilda office or our Carnegie office that introduce a buyer to that property, and they do get paid out of it, but what that does mean is more competitive tension at your auctions.
And buyers get a better chance to see everything through our guys as well.
Absolutely, Gary.
Phil, we move on to...
a bit of a promo there, wasn't it?
It was a bit of a promo. Should we talk about some of the ones we've got for sale at the end? We'll go through the auction results first. Let's do that.
Well, I do rely on you, Gary, to make sure that this show progresses at a mighty clip. So what are we doing next?
Tell us about Almond Street. Phil, you did that auction, sold really well. Looking reserve there was in the range of 2.2 was the range. Reserve was within that, but sold it for just a little over $2,230,000.
Yeah, lovely couple there, Gary. Actually moving from Hyatt to South Caulfield.
Another suburb hopper.
Lovely family. Shout out to them. Lovely vendors of that property who had built this new home on a smallish parcel of land, around 400 square metres. Interesting though, Gary, the house was probably about 35 squares.
Yes.
And it still had nice garden areas. 400 square metres is enough land to build a really good house and have garden areas.
That's true. Phil, the land was a bit bigger in Ludbrook Avenue, but 14 Ludbrook Avenue went off like a rocket,
Well,
Phil.
Gary, we did GPTV there, as we've said last week or the week before, we've got long memories there, Gary.
We have,
Was
Phil.
your sister's home.
It was my sister's home for many years.
And hopefully she's not going to give you a call and say, how come you didn't get that price
Exactly
for
right.
me, Gary? Because that price looked extraordinary.
Well, I can't remember. We might have sold it for her for $340 or $280 or $340 or $400 or something like that.
Probably a big price.
Big price at the time, something like that a few years ago. The current owners, got a little more than that, Philip. They sold it for $2,105,000, significally above reserve.
I'm just thinking, Gary, how long ago that she probably sold it, and I'm going with probably about 20 years ago.
Yeah, it would have been.
And if you think in terms of Melbourne real estate, so I think she sold it for around 300.
Yeah.
So 300 after 10 years becomes 600. After 10 years becomes a bit over $2 million.
Yeah.
No, sorry, 300 to 600.
Good maths, isn't he?
600 to 1.2. So that's well outperformed that general rule. Yeah. Obviously, I'm a little bit tired from the weekend.
Yeah, well, the thing is that he's never been good at maths, Phil. Really, he's never been good at maths. Never been good at school academically.
Little true story.
But can work out his commission like
Little true story. When I was in VCE, I was enrolled into general maths.
Yes.
And I've got to tell you, why I was enrolled into that, I've got no idea, because it was seriously complicated maths, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm good with addition and subtraction.
Me too.
And sometimes multiplication.
That's it.
And I'm very good at working out our fees.
That's right.
Right? But I knew after 6 weeks I could not handle this course, so I stopped going to class. Anyway, at the October test, remember the October trial test?
Yeah, I don't think I tendered it.
So, I did, and I got 7%.
That's good.
I got 7% for the exam.
I got one score in his test because I wrote my name right.
Having said
that was all I did.
That
was the only score I got.
For the VCE general maths, I went from 7% to 28% for my final
improvement.
Score. That's a 400% improvement.
And no one was flattering you.
I should have got an award.
You should have. No secret. We both did the real estate course together as well. And I remember we negotiated a 50% in English because we were so disruptive in the class. And the teacher said, what do we have to do to get rid of you guys? She said, give us 50%
and we're out
and we'll never come back again. So she gave us 50% and went back to class.
Sadly,
true story. Negotiated our way through that one. Anyway, let's move on, Phil, because we're off track. But 4 at 27 Malvern Grove. Hey, shout out to Val, who's the vendor. And Val watches GPTV. So I wanted to say g'day because she said, I like watching your show. And she said that after she had a terrific auction. So I hope you don't mind us disclosing your name there, Val. But you did have a property that we thought would get somewhere around that 6 to 6, maybe a little bit more, over 6 to even 650. We sold it for in excess of $700,000, well over reserve. $701,000 was a great result, and many, many bidders. Phil, Anderson Street. Well, that was the rocket ship.
Was it Humdinger Al?
It was a Humdinger what? Al. He's gone.
What's an L?
What's an L? Humdinger Al. He's gone. He's gone. Just let him sit over there and just get himself together. Anderson Street, Phil.
Hang on.
What? No, we're not going. We're going. We're rolling.
You've got to cut that
No, we're
out.
not. We're not. We're rolling. 505 Anderson Street, Phil. Now that was very exciting.
Do it again because it's all been filmed. You've got to cut that out.
No, we're not cutting it out. We're going. No, you can rub your nose. I'm going to keep going. Phil, 505 Anderson Street, Caulfield. Well, that was a beauty. We thought we might get somewhere in the fives, mid fives. Our reserve was in that area. We were quoting in that range, but we clearly had no idea what we were talking about because it ended up selling for $755,000. There was 8 bidders.
Massive.
It was massive. It was unprecedented, unexpected. We knew it was going to be popular. We had said to the vendor, it's going to be popular, it's going to go well. They said, well, we're happy with the range, and there you go.
Gary, I believe the coffee van was there, just pumping out coffees.
Hey,
and let's just show this little clip up there, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, here's the coffee van, people, and a little bit of interesting information from the coffee van.
How many auctions did we do today, guys?
7.
7 auctions. How much milk did we go through?
40 litres of milk and over 200 coffees.
200 coffees,
Yeah.
good, thank you. We all know where to come to not next weekend, but the weekend after.
Yeah, come visit the van.
Come visit the van with the man and the lady at the van. Thank you, bye.
Let's move on, shall we then, Phil, to talk about St Kilda Street, Brighton. The price is undisclosed, but a bit proud of this result, Phil.
Yeah, that was amazing,
because,
and well done to you, because you were the listing agent.
I was.
And well done to Leon and his team as the selling agents.
Leon did a great job, and Lisa Alberts. They worked together there and did a great job. Lisa, of course, also there involved with that, and with Royal Avenue. But Philip, this was a great result. It was for sale with another agent for some time, an agent situated in Brighton, but they went to an agent situated in St Kilda, Corporate
that's a market that's developing for us, Gary.
It is. Loving it.
The Brighton market's an amazing market, but we are doing more and more there as the weeks and months go past. Particularly that pocket of East Brighton where we're just really busy, but more and more into central Brighton itself.
St Kilda Street undisclosed, but sold for in excess of the quoting price, as you'd imagine. And we were looking
what was the quoting price?
Over $3 million, and of course it did get substantially over $3 million.
But you're not going to say exactly
No, I'm not
what
going to say, Phil, because it's undisclosed.
Was the front number a 3 or a 4?
It was a 3, Phil. I'll give you that. Let's move on, Phil, to some of the properties that we don't get a chance to talk about on GPTV for two reasons. Firstly, there's hardly ever anything left. Secondly, we don't have time necessarily because we're reviewing our properties upcoming. But Phil, we can talk about some of the properties that didn't sell on the weekend. Didn't sell. One of the ones that didn't sell on the weekend, Phil, was, I think I've been affected by the heat and the work as well. Briggs Street, Caulfield. Now here's an apartment, Philip, that's for sale now at $599. Probably will be gone by the time we get
I've got to tell you, an investor special, first home buyers special, because just a great location there.
Great apartment, $599 is good value. Philip, Grieve Street, that was a wonderful property.
Some real development potential down there, Gary.
There is. Cashmore's is being sold across the road as well.
St Kilda is just massive.
It's going to be one of those places because Grieve Street, of course, has had a bit of a question mark over it over years.
And what question mark would that be, Gary?
Well, question mark would be is a bit seedy, Philip. I'll just leave it at that. But
Grieve Street is a bit of a cut through for slow driving cars between Inkerman and Carlisle Street.
But it's all going to change. It is all changing. It's all going to change, and even so, it's still trendy and popular and cool.
No question.
So this is a great opportunity for that property for sale now.
With the sale
at
of
$2,350. For sale at $2,350.
With the sale of that big industrial complex of Cashmore's, that will revolutionise Grieve Street. So if you want to get in before the whole place looks completely different, now's the time.
2A Ray Street, Bentley East, Philip, has not been sold and is for sale at 1.1. You were there.
Magnificent home that one, Gary. Is just stunning inside as new. That shouldn't last too long.
13 at 9 Kooyong Road, for sale, Philip, at $449,000.
High on the Kooyong Hill, Gary. We love that little spot between Alma and Dandenong Road.
And we've got an offer of $420. We're pretty close, Phil. 243 Alma Road. That's a beautiful property.
Gary, I did the auction there. We're well advanced there. I think we've got a reserve of $2,450,000. Already an offer on the table, just sub $2,200,000. I think we'll get that over the line in the next 48 hours.
I think the reserve's 2,249, not 2,450,000.
I said 2,250,000.
No, you didn't.
Sure.
No, you didn't say.
Well,
you said
Gary,
2,450.
you do 11 auctions on the weekend. I do pull up a little bit sore.
Well, you're not
a little bit tired.
Not old. You should be able to get that stuff right, really. Philip, it's just not acceptable. Let's move on to Balaclava Road because that one was the final auction of the weekend. Hasn't sold. Incredible opportunity
with its own interconnecting lift between floors for the exclusive use of this apartment, Gary. You can entertain downstairs and then just say, I'm going to retire now to the bedroom.
Yes.
And up in the lift you go.
In your dressing gown,
well, you
slippers?
wouldn't be, because you'd be entertaining in something like this, but you'd go
upstairs.
That? Well, because it was.
Is that what you do when people come over? Is that how you entertain?
Gary,
is that what you dress?
If I owned that penthouse, I would dress like this because I just want to feel like I was doing justice to the building.
Is that right?
Yes.
But you own a beautiful house, so you don't dress like that when you entertain, do you?
Do you know?
So that's really ridiculous.
Well, actually, I do.
No, you don't.
You've never seen me because we never invite you.
That's right. I've never entertained there. You may be right. So how about these new stamp duty laws that are coming in, or concessions, really, not laws, concessions, aren't they? How amazing, Phil.
Well, Premier Dan Andrews thinks this might be the solution to the first home buyers crisis in Melbourne. Personally, Gary, I'm a bit dubious.
Well, often we see these concessions come in, but then we see the prices go up to allow for them.
So we're going to show a bit of a chart up now, just showing what the stamp duty savings are for first home buyers. And keep in mind, viewers, this is a chart for first home buyers where there is already some stamp duty concessions. But essentially, if we talk about a $600,000 property, there's an additional $15,000 saving in stamp duty.
That's serious money. If you're just starting out, Phil, that's a lot of money.
There's no question. But now let's put.
And it's to zero. It goes to zero, Phil. By the way,
let's put our auctioneer's hat on for a moment, and we're now standing with a crowd of first home buyers bidding on an apartment that was going to sell for $550,000. Now, if you're a buyer and a first home buyer, you now know that you've got a $15,000 saving coming up. What are you going to do when the property gets to 550 and you thought that was your limit, but you know that you've got a $15,000 saving, aren't you just going to bid that $15,000?
Maybe so. Maybe so. Look, I don't know. I'm not sure that you will, firstly. Secondly, you would come in any event with your own idea of what the property's worth and you would bid for it and pay that, I think. I'm not so sure.
What planet are you living on?
No, I don't agree with you. I don't think so.
So you think that the stamp duty saving will really affect somebody's pocket?
I think that, well, are you automatically just presuming the price will go up to the equivalent, are you?
I absolutely believe.
I'm not so sure.
I absolutely believe that buyers will just push themselves harder in the knowledge that the $15,000 that they knew that they had to budget for, they now don't have to budget for, so that's just going to go straight onto the price.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think people still are going to work out their entire situation, their repayments, their lives. They'll be organised, and I think it's going to help them as a concession. I think property prices may well go up as a result of it. I agree with that. But will they go up as much as the saving?
I say this with the greatest respect to the Premier of the state and all.
What's your suggestion?
And all of the economic boffins that worked on this.
What's your suggestion? What have you got to contribute?
No, I'm not saying that I have a solution. I'm just saying that I think that it's perhaps misguided because I think what's going to happen is that buyers will just spend the money, and I think if you're selling a property under $600,000, I think it's a win for the seller.
Could well be. It could well be. Now, if you're a seller and you're going to and you're wanting to sell, would you now wait until the 1st of July?
Well, that's
the other interesting question as well,
very
because there'll be a number of our clients watching this who may be thinking that.
Question. I think for us, we'll probably counsel our vendors not to wait in this rising market.
I don't think I would wait either, Phil, because there might be more supply of people, and then it will take off that edge as well.
But
so you don't know.
But not only that. If you think about what percentage of our $600,000 sales are we selling to first home buyers?
A few.
It's definitely. It might be 20%.
Yeah.
So it's not as though that's going to change the market.
And then if a lot of vendors do hold back and there's a greater supply, then it may not go up.
I'll tell you one thing I am really concerned about, and once again I say this respect to the government because they're trying to find a solution.
Yes.
But I think one of the things that they've done is now take off stamp duty savings for buyers off the plan. Now I think that's a disaster in the making because I think that the stamp duty savings when you buy off the plan were a real reason to get people to buy brand new properties.
So you're saying that now they've taken that benefit away?
Well, so it seems.
Oh, okay.
So it
seems.
Right. And I think that the problem with that is, will that now mean that there'll be less building activity? And
less
one thing that we do know about building activity is it's a massive stimulus.
It's a boost,
for the economy. So,
hang on, Phil. I mean, the other thing in this chart here, if you spend $750,000, you're going to save $40,000. That is big money. That's big money. First home buyer, big money.
I'm totally convinced it's going to get spent. I think it's a boon for sellers.
Well, there you go. We're going to find out, I suppose, from the 1st of July onwards. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it kind of my understanding or experience is that things sort of level out again. It all gets sort of caught up in the wash.
But I mean, if you think about, if you go back in time, when they first brought in the first home buyers grant and all this, what happened to property prices?
Yeah, they did. They
jumped.
That's
they
true.
Jumped.
They did go up,
I'm not sure that this is a great solution. Stay tuned, viewers. That's my considered opinion. And generally speaking, I'm right.
Also, he thinks he is. And when he's not right, he's just not going to accept it. Or he just thinks that, well I was still right.
When I'm wrong,
the facts are wrong.
Bury the episode.
The facts were wrong and he was still right. The alternate facts. That's exactly right.
That's right.
Alternate facts. Right. And there's another tax coming in now for people who have got places vacant for more than 6 months. Well, I think that's a good one.
I reckon that's a good idea.
I reckon that's a good. I like that one because that sucks to have a place sitting vacant for 6 months.
This has come out of Vancouver. Right, so apparently in Vancouver, the percentage of homes that were selling to clients in Asia that were buying them and just keeping them vacant. Apparently, you could fly over suburbs and 50% of the suburbs vacant. Had the lights out.
Yeah. No, you don't want that.
A lot of controversy there.
Have your say, viewers. Let us know what you think about the new laws. I think that they will be good. I think they will help people. He's a bit more hard-edged and cynical about it, but
one
have
could
your
say
say.
I'm just realistic, Gary. I think that it's going to be good for the industry, though.
No, I think it'll be good for buyers. I think buyers are going to have a break. They're going to buy something anyway. They get less stamp duty. I don't think the price will go up accordingly. But anyway, let's wait and see. We will find out, and all will be revealed shortly. But if you've got any ideas, please email us on ideas@garypeer.com.au. We'd love to hear from you. So interesting. That's a big wrap on the stamp duty, Phil. It'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. But it can only be good news for buyers and sellers alike, I think, don't you?
Gary, without question. But now let's talk about this house that we're sitting in.
We're in paradise.
First of all, Carlingford Street, Gary, is a favourite street and address of ours.
Yep.
You think about where you are at the moment.
Absolutely.
Walking distance to everything that Elsternwick has on offer.
Wesley College just up the road.
Absolutely.
Good
Glen
school.
Huntly Road, not far away. But how about this house? Yep. The owners of this house have created a paradise here.
They have.
But not only created a paradise, they've looked after it incredibly well. There's not a chip or scratch here, Gary. It's the most magnificent home, and the floor plan just works so brilliantly.
Great accommodation,
The
Phil.
entertaining areas are incredible. This kitchen meals family room that we're looking into at the moment, whilst we're sitting in this alfresco area, is amazing. But the piece de resistance has got to be that back garden, because we're on a big piece of land.
We've got the
and
pool
you've got
behind
that
us, Phil.
swimming pool is just amazing, Gary. But still plenty of room for the kids to play. So
and plenty of accommodation. Phil, got 4 bedrooms,
Gary,
which is certainly plenty of accommodation.
2.5 bathrooms,
plenty of parking,
2 garages. This is really a turnkey home. All you've got to do is move in and get on with life, because there's not a cent to spend.
And I know Glenn Brick is very excited to be representing the vendors, as is the entire company. So we look forward to seeing you at this one, 29 Carlingford Street, Elstree. This one comes up for auction, Philip, on Sunday, the 19th of March. The details are on the screen. So make sure that you get to this home. It is a masterpiece.
There'll be a lot of people here, Gary. Better crank the coffee crew up for this one.
Absolutely, indeed. And that's a big wrap for the market, Philip. We've got a weekend off this weekend, but weekend off auctions, still plenty of open for inspections,
The
plenty
team
of
will
people
be
around.
opening all of the properties that
Everything's
we've got that
happening
go
still.
to auction the following weekend. So, Gary, enjoy your Labour Day weekend.
I will indeed,
and
Phil.
I'll see you fresh and refreshed in a week's time.
Thanks for watching GPTV. My name is Gary Peer.
I'm Philip Kingston. Have a fabulous week.
See you next week.